All right, music fans, welcome back. It is I, Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there. And this guy here. Stevie Nicks, well known for her duets. The two most famous ones are probably Leather and Lace with Don Henley, and then Stop Dragging My Heart Around with Tom Petty. And then third place, probably Whenever I Call You Friend with Kenny Loggins. Those are three quick ones that just right off the top of the head here. But she's also worked with Robbie Patton and did a duet with him. He was involved with Fleetwood Mac for a while. There's another artist I know that was involved with Fleetwood Mac that it's a Bob Welsh. Obviously, she's singing with Bob Welsh. I think Ebony Eyes is where she's at. If she's not on that, she's on something else. I know she did a concert with Bob Welsh that turned up on YouTube, and I watched it, and just fantastic. The late, great Bob Welsh. Walter Egan, Magnet and Steel. You'll hear Stevie back there. And then the song that's on every Time Life CD compilation. If you're staying up late at night and there's Barry Williams from the Brady Bunch looking old and not like Greg Brady anymore, but he's hawking the latest CD collection that you could own for just, 12 easy payments of $29.95. But wait, if you act before midnight tonight, they'll knock it down to $19.95, and they'll throw in AM Gold, which is this great collection of tunes that were only really on AM radio in the 70s. You could own that and pay even $10 less. And by the end of the commercial, they're offering you free shipping. The tune I'm talking about, by the way, is a tune called Gold, featuring Stevie Nicks and the late, great Jon Stewart, who was once a member of the Kingston Trio, that a very influential folk group from the 1960s. And he co-wrote, or actually I think completely wrote, the song Daydream Believer for the Monkees, and Anne Murray, and of course he recorded it himself. But Jon Stewart, the album that I'm talking about, if you're a big Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac aficionado, and you want to hear that drama and that energy that you heard on Rumors, and that sort of back and forth between what I would call very interesting acoustic guitar work, because, by the way, not only do you get Stevie Nicks on this album, but you get Lindsey Buckingham. So it's a double threat. You get what Fleetwood Mac wanted, and you get Jon Stewart, who is a very quirky vocalist. He has his own thing. He's a little like Gordon Lightfoot at times, but at other times he's got this other thing happening. A lot of gravitas in his voice. It's like he commands the song and tells the song where to go. On Gold, everybody knows it. Once the song kicks in and you hear the chorus and you hear Stevie back there with, again, a very haunting background vocal. But the album, the guy had 2 or 3 albums that you probably need to check out. The one in question is called Bombs Away Dream Babies, okay? And interesting name for an album. His follow-up was called Dream Babies Go to Hollywood. And both of those albums are excellent. Now, the first album, though, is completely, it's like the Fleetwood Mac connection is there. The next album, what he tries to do is the same sound, but without Buckingham and Nicks, but he has some great folks on board. I'll tell you, every song on Bombs Away Dream Babies, except for the very last track, which is called Hand Your Heart to the Wind, I found that to be a little weird. It's a piano. It's very echoey. I'm waiting for some drums to kick in. It never happens. But a lot of these tunes, you'll hear either Stevie back there or Lindsey back there. There's a tune called Midnight Wind where Stevie Nicks does another killer, haunting background vocal, which, again, if you're not into Stevie duets, or if you know of just a few of those duets, Midnight Wind, add that to the list. The next album you get, instead of Nicks and Buckingham, you get people like Linda Ronstadt, Phil Everly, Nicolette Larson, and Wendy Waldman, who produces it. And what they do is it's like, we're going to do Stevie and Lindsey without them actually being here. There's a tune on this album called Spirit of the Water, and there's another one called Nightman that completely emulate what we heard on Gold. Jon Stewart, of course, fell through the cracks. The 80s happened. Again, those albums are on RSO, which was a record label that had a lot of disco, and they also had Eric Clapton. They had the Bee Gees. I believe they had Elvin Bishop at one time. They had some good music, but for some reason, they didn't give this guy the time of day. There's so many artists that sort of fell through the cracks. Jon Stewart was a great artist. Passed away, I believe, in 2008, and was performing right up until the end there. But again, if you're a Fleetwood Mac fan, if you want to hear Stevie Nicks singing some great background vocals, if you want to hear Lindsey Buckingham's guitar work, then this first album is one that you need to own, and the follow-up is another great album to have. Again, Bombs Away, Dream Babies, and Dream Babies Go to Hollywood. For a bonus, you might want to check out the album Fire in the Wind. That was his first album on RSO, and I'll tell you what, it's all great music. It's all lost. And by the way, really hard to find. I hate to say it. I found this stuff on YouTube. Somebody uploaded great quality vinyl recordings of this stuff, and it's up there. You can listen to it. But I went over to Amazon, and the Bombs Away album was like $139.95 on CD. You know, if you've got a vinyl player, as they call them now, a turntable, as we used to call them, you know what? You can probably grab some vinyl for $3 or $4, and someone will probably ship it to you for $5 or $6. But that might be a more cost-effective way to do it. But I was fortunate enough to find both of those albums and listen to them on YouTube, and it's spectacular. And it also illustrates another problem, that there are so many good albums that are either out of print or they're like Japanese imports now, especially from the late 70s and early 80s. In Japan, they love this music. They're just gobbling it up. It kind of has this West Coast vibe to it. And you'll probably hear this music on a West Coast-oriented station. And that's just great music. It's music like Toto in Chicago and Ambrosia and things like that. Again, if I'm on an island, I bring a lot of that stuff with me because, number one, it's an island and it's going to be kind of laid back anyway. So I'm just going to chill there with my, well, I guess I probably can't get the umbrella drink if I'm stranded. But in any event, folks, check Jon Stewart out. He's not the guy that used to be on TV, by the way. It's Jon Stewart, the musician. He spells his John, and that's how you know you got the right guy. And hopefully you've got the right guy here. I'm Dave. This is the Real Music Observer. I'll be back observing more real music in real time for real people just like you right there and just like me. And of course, we'll do it real soon. Talk to you then.